This conference will now be recorded.
Hello?
Yep.
We still here?
Yep.
I heard a female speak. Okay. Resolution 20-079, we're gonna requesting to award bid and enter contract for the 2020 through 2022 household pickup. We advertised this for bid this year for 3 years, hoping to attract some additional bidders. We did get some interest in it, but there were only 2 bidders, and one Waste Management sent in a bid of thank you, but no thank you. But it did lower the cost for the 2 bidders that did do the place bids, which was Archibald Refuse Service and Stevens Disposal and Recycling, and both of them companies have done this project for us before. Archibald Refuse Service had an aggregate bid for the 3 years of $375. They started at $350 for 2020, went to $375 over the next 2 years. So they were the lowest and best bidder for the 3-year period.
All right, I'll move resolution 20-079 to award the bid and enter the contract for the 2022 household pickup.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the administrator, Mr. Turner.
Well, before you get started, can I make one comment?
Sure.
This is Rob. Okay, before I go, I would like to note that the letter came in from Ohio Public Works for the 2021 OPWC project was funded and approved for $419,050 on our behalf. So, and the project for the, if you recall, they're going to be putting up some noise barrier walls along the Eaglehurst corridor and the Whiteacre, Greenacre corridor along 23-475 there. Those projects were approved, and the physical rearrangement dates for our utilities is July of this year and 2021 for the county. So it looks like the 2022 date of start is still good. So if you have any residents questioning or asking about that, that project's still ongoing. As of now, it hasn't been delayed due to the coronavirus or anything. So
Is that an ODOT job or county?
it's an ODOT job, sir.
Okay, thanks.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
I don't think his volume's on, is it?
Okay, is
it better?
It's on my screen.
Okay, that work for you?
Yep.
Great. Thank you very much. Resolution 20-072 would be a resolution approving a services agreement with Stress Care Behavioral Health. So administration, working in conjunction with the fire department, has been looking for additional providers for EAP services to supplement the contract that we have currently with Harbor. Harbor's contract addresses a lot of training, and based on the input we received from the department, we're looking for additional services. And so this was included in the current budget, the 2020 budget, and appropriation of roughly $5,000 for these services. The agreement that's been offered by Stress Care would range just between $3,000 and $3,500, and it would only serve the fire department We do have a contract with Harbor through toward the end of the year, but this would be in place with the fire department, and there was a lot of input from the employees of the union. And just a housekeeping note, there's a little bit of background, so if you can hit mute unless you're planning to talk, I think that should help eliminate some background noise. But yeah, we met with the leadership from Stress Care, with employees, the fire chiefs, and our team here at Township Hall. We had a lot of positive discussion, and the agreement would run from approximately April 7th through the rest of the calendar year. It's my understanding that Stress Care, in the interim, between the time they submitted the agreement to the township and now, roughly a period of a week and a half, they've been available to take calls for the firefighters, understanding that approval wasn't guaranteed, but there are representatives from Stress Care who reside within the township, at least one who's the point person on this. So certainly glad to answer any questions about this.
Did I understand, Oliver? This is Crandall. Did I understand this is only for the fire department?
Correct.
I'll move Resolution 2072, approving services agreement with Stress Care Behavioral Health for the fire department.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
I think you could put either one of us down for that one. So.
Okay. Well, I'll call the roll of Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. Next item, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 8.2 on the agenda is the review of a request for a new liquor license at 7414 West Central Avenue, Tugun. And this has been reviewed by the police and the fire department. Neither of them have expressed any concerns with the application, and the police department has not made any type of request for a hearing in front of the Ohio Department of Liquor Control. This is informational and doesn't necessarily require any action, but we would plan to send the form back to the Department of Liquor Control indicating that we're not requesting a hearing at this time.
Okay, Oliver, we're going to skip 8.3 until after executive session if we take any action, and let's move on to 8.4.
Sure. 8.4, Resolution 20-077. This would authorize applications for public assistance and or grants relating to the COVID-19 pandemic. And what set this concept into motion to add it to the agenda was that we received notification from the county regarding available grant funding from FEMA, and our respective departments, police and fire in particular, have been tracking the cost associated with the pandemic. This would simply authorize applications for those public assistance. At this time, there's no match that I'm aware of that's required, but it is something that when you do submit applications, they will periodically ask for the authorizing resolution from the governing body. So just wanted to be proactive and try to have something in place in case that request comes.
Sounds like a good idea. You never know, though. I doubt if we'll get much, but we'll try. I'll move Resolution 20-077, authorizing applications for public assistance and or grants relating to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. We'll go
Thanks,
to the
Al.
fiscal officer, Mr.
Thank you.
Simcoe.
Yes, I have resolution number 20-073 for the board. It's to transfer money from the road and bridge funds and the police funds to their respective capital project funds for the portion of money received from the real estate advance. And as you know, we received a memo that we aren't doing the fire fund right at this moment. We're waiting to see just how things develop with the fire fund.
I'll move resolution 2073, transfer of funds.
Second.
Mr. Genowine,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. Next item is resolution 074.
Yes, 2074, and it's to advance monies back from the special assessment fund to the general fund because of the money was received. As you can see, it's a small amount of money, but we have to try to keep our books straight. We need to move this money around occasionally.
I'll move resolution 2074, advance of funds.
Second.
Mr. Genowine,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. Next item, Dave.
Yes, and then lastly, I have resolution 20-075, and that is a township appropriation from the unencumbered balances and reducing appropriations. And so there's quite a lengthy list there, and I'm sure you've had a chance to look at it. Most of them are small sums of money, but once again, to keep our books in line and accurately reflecting our status, we do have to make these various movements of money.
I'll move resolution 075, township appropriation from unencumbered balance and reducing appropriations.
Second.
Mr. Genowine,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. And the last item is the fiscal report, which is part of the agenda. So unless you have any comments, Dave, I don't think we have to go over that.
No, I don't think we do. It's very early in the year, so if anyone has questions, you can ask them, but it's a bit early to really get real good sense of things.
Next item on the agenda.
So with that, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Next item is the hearing of the public on non-agenda items. If there's anyone on the phone, I'll need your name and address, and please give us the item of interest. Hearing no one, I think we'll move. Oh, whoops.
I just had a question. How do we distribute the call-in information? I mean, is there anybody else out there on this call, or?
I think there are others that sounded like I've heard some clicks. I would guess there's 4 or 5 people listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So the call-in information, it was sent to the Blade. Mike Jones sent it to the TV station. It was placed on our website and distributed.
Okay.
And I'm on the phone.
Oh, thank you,
Hi,
Mike.
Mike.
Yes.
And just so you know, this is Crosby, James Bud Crosby. I've been trying to listen, but there's been, hi guys. I've been trying to listen, but there has been some issues as far as some breaking up, but they might be due to my location. and other things attempting to go on. But all in all, it's the audio quality has been very good from what I've heard.
Thank you, Bud. Okay, go ahead.
My name's Lawrence Singstock. I live over on Manawa, and I'm enjoying listening.
Good. Probably more than we are. No, if there's no items, no non-agenda items, we'll move on to discussion and reports. And the first item on the agenda is at the request of Mr. Genuine. It's Rec District Council. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was pretty concerned when I read some of the information about their legal counsel, and I was even more concerned when Mr. Simcoe wasn't aware of it, and then, you know, you still wanted to continue to use this attorney. And I just wanted, as our representative to the township, you know, wanted to get your reasoning for not, you know, looking for new counsel.
Well, John, as you know, when I addressed this with you, I think back in January, and there was a charge against counsel for Sage Art, and there had been no decisions made by the Ohio Supreme Court, which is ultimately the decider on these things. It'd be unfair, I think, like someone being charged, you can liken it to perhaps a crime, for them to be removed from positions. Well, and actually there's no position for him really to be removed from, but for him to not have an opportunity to present his side of the case and ultimately see what the Supreme Court is going to do. So I think that, you know, my thoughts on it at the time were accurate and were the correct things to do.
He acknowledged the things that he was brought to the Supreme Court for. So I, you know, looking at the facts in the matter, I was just surprised that was the board's decision, was to stay with him until he was sentenced.
Well, it's not really staying with him on anything. He's not retained by, say, to the best of my knowledge. Now, you might want to write to the board president or the executive director and be clear, but he is not retained by Sage Art. He currently does not have any work. There's really nothing to sever with him. So he has worked on some projects for us, but when you characterized him as our legal counsel, he really is not on a retainer with us, and he's not our general counsel, to my knowledge.
Okay.
You've run into him. You've run into him on a matter, as you know, and
I see him all the time.
kind of almost buddy, right?
All time, Dave.
Pardon?
It's a small town.
And so, in any event, yes, it is. But I was curious. There's the recording there's a recording that's on here too. What is that about?
Well, again, I don't think the accurate story of it was out in public. So I had a meeting with Mr. Bonfiglio where he described some of the details of the incident, and I think it, you know, in his description of it, it was a little bit more concerning than the city law director's description of it. And I provided both copies to several people. So.
So you recorded the conversation with Bonfiglio?
I did.
So did you have his permission? I'm just curious.
Dave, in the state of Ohio, as long as one person proceeding is aware of it, I taped it for my own personal note.
Well, but my question would be: did you at least provide the courtesy of advising him that you're recording him in his chambers?
I did.
You did? I listened to the tape. I didn't hear it on the tape.
Huh.
And neither was Mike aware of it.
We'll wait till that's in front of anything.
I couldn't hear you, John.
I said, we'll wait till that goes in front of anybody before you can make a decision on that, Dave.
Well, I just didn't hear it on the tape, and I thought that it would probably have been a prudent thing to advise him that you're recording him and that he would consent to the recording. But I guess you're saying you did that, but I did not hear it on the tape. But that's,
Okay.
Maybe I missed it.
Maybe you did.
But I don't, or maybe I didn't, Okay,
Maybe
well,
you didn't.
Any other questions for me? Well, that's all I really have to say on this, unless there's some other questions for me.
I don't have any questions. Do you, Mr. Mahoney?
I don't.
Okay, let's move on. Next item, under open discussion and reports, do you have anything else for the elected officials, Mr. Genuine?
I don't.
Mr. Mahoney?
No. Thank you, though.
Mr. Simcoe?
No.
I only have two items, and one is that I've asked Oliver to check with the fire chiefs to see how the budgets will be looking for this year, and be sure that due to the COVID-19 that we can make adjustments to stay within budget. I know he's heard back from the police department. That looks good. I wasn't aware of it, but apparently the detectives have uniforms and they're backing up the road patrol, so I think that was a good thing. And we haven't heard back from the fire department yet, but we expect to hear back from them shortly, and Mr. Turner will keep us posted. The second thing I'd like to talk about is we had our first meeting on the preliminary report for a possible fire levy, and roughly the schedule is we hope to have that to you, the preliminary report, by the end of May, and we're working on that right now. And then I think the next item would be to go out to the public and stakeholders in the community, get their input on it. This is the same procedure we followed back on the last fire levy. And sometime the end of July or early August, I'll have Mr. Turner send a memo out. We'll need to let the Board of Elections know if we're going to have anything on this fall's agenda. And then finally, after input from the public and the elected officials, we'll do a final report. And that should be early September. I'm going to ask Mr. Turner to send a memo out. And if you have any comments on that schedule, please contact Mr. Turner. That's all I have. Next item on the agenda. Well, are there any questions there? Okay, next item on the agenda is an executive session. And we're going to recess this meeting, go into executive session. I don't believe it'll take over 30 minutes, and then we'll reconvene this if you want to stay on the line or call back. So it's 5. I'll move to go into executive session at 5:35, and at 6:05 we'll come back on the line for the meeting to see if there's any action on Resolution 2076.
Okay, and
Do we have a second?
at this point,
Well, do we have a second on the motion?
Second?
Neil, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Genuine? Mr.
Yes.
Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be back on at 6:30. Thank you.
6:30.
and at this point, the information for the closed session call-in has been distributed to the elected officials. If you could please call into that line. Feel free to text me with any questions.
Hey, John, why did you say 6:30? Crandall.
He might be calling in to the other line, the closed session line. there's a separate phone line with different access code for that portion.
No, I got it.
But
I thought John says we're going to reconvene at 6:30.
no, yeah, it was
Yeah,
intended to be
I think you
6:05.
mentioned, you 60, yes, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to hang up and redial.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.